Welcome to a brand new episode of Red Steel Gaming Presents Adepticon 2025.
Oh my.
Here we are again. Just a little intro for those of you that might be new to the show. I'm Dan, also known as the Primarch of Red Steel Gaming. I am the proprietor of the store. 50-plus-year-old gamer that's been doing this quite a bit of time. Always wanted to open a store. Made it happen. The store's been growing well. Brought a couple buddies with me on the way, gamers that I've been gaming with a long time, and people that are pretty much soundboards for me to help to run the store, make sure I'm not screwing it up.
Oh, yeah.
I got my buddy Sal with me here.
Hello, everybody. I've known Dan since I'm 14, and I'm 40 now, so that says something. Yeah, we grew up gaming. Well, I grew up gaming with Dan, more likely the story. And I've known Chris.
Who knows?
I don't
even know at this point.
2 decades. You know,
We found him wandering on the street, and we felt bad.
So
I looked like this at the time. I was a young owlbear hanging out on the road.
You know what it makes me think of? It makes me think of that to highlight our gaming journey. Me and Dan were what I call old fart gamers because we only played Warhammer Fantasy Battle and Dungeons and Dragons, and we played those for years. And then when they canceled Warhammer Fantasy Battle, we just decided, hey, we can't play another game ever again, and we're going to go into stasis. Until we met Chris, who opened our eyes to what other games could be. So you brought that to our.
Let's throw in Big John in there too. Big John was another. Big John was kind of the bridge for all of us hanging out together.
Yeah, well, we met you through John at the game room, and so you're the reason I'm spending ridiculous amounts of money now because I'm into all these other games.
I have no idea what you're talking about. It's fine. Don't worry about it. You were already playing Magic. You were spending enough money for yourself.
Yeah, we were going there.
Anyway, now I'm spending more.
Yeah, we were going there anyway.
We were, but now that a little intro's over, let's start the topic of discussion today, which is Adepticon 2025.
Adepticon, our first trip to Adepticon,
which is ridiculous considering we've been wargaming for over 25 years. And
yes,
and I don't even remember how long Adepticon's been going now.
I will quite some time. Yeah. It originally been in Chicago, moved to Milwaukee. We'll get to that, but I also find we talked about why Chris couldn't come because at the time of year you're very busy with.
I'm very busy at work, and I can't pull some time out. Although we'll see if I have to do that next year. We'll see if I'll move some stuff around. But I've never been to Adepticon. I've been to Gen Con. I've been to PAX. Mm-hmm. I've been to New York Comic Con. I've been to a whole bunch of stuff. So give me the travel, give me the lay of the land. What was it like when you were going there for the first time as newbies going to Milwaukee? Was it Milwaukee?
Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The home of Laverne and Shirley, the home of the Milwaukee Brewers.
You know what we missed too? The Fawn statue. You know when people took a picture in front of the Fawn statue? It was a bronze.
Wow.
That was for people who don't know what Fawns is, I can't help you.
I did my part to celebrate Milwaukee. I had some cheese on my hot dogs.
Cheese was a highlight. We'll
get
to that
day.
Too.
Okay. But for sure, we'll start with, I guess, maybe we'll talk about the center.
Yeah,
the Baird Center.
Wednesday was our travel day. The only reason we had to fly early. There's 2 flights into Milwaukee from Newark. It was
There's only two.
So it was literally the 6 o'clock in the morning and the 9 at something at night, and we wanted to get there for the GW reveal, which is 8 something. So
and on the plane, we were with Gregory.
Yes,
and Katoff,
two of our local store members that we noticed on the plane. I'm like, oh, okay.
I know that guy.
And the plane was not, you know what, and being a traveler, when you get on a plane and not every seat's full, you realize that, like...
You going somewhere weird?
Yeah. And then when we landed, we were the only flight on the tarmac. We were the only flight, living in New Jersey and coming out of Newark, you're in traffic, you look out a window, you see the line of planes, there was not a soul.
Reverse culture shock, maybe, I guess?
Yeah. It was an easy flight.
Flying out of Newark into Wisconsin, like you said, there's nobody there.
No, it was... The airport was chill.
What was the flight time? How long did it take?
I hate they list it at a certain time. We get on the plane. It's only 1 hour. It's just under 2 hours.
Yeah. Okay, that's nice.
I would say it was hour 45 probably.
Yeah.
Almost up and down, like almost like
basically
up
it's the same thing. We got to cruising and then started coming down. Oh, that's the best part. You want to talk about that?
You can bring that up.
Okay, so we're starting. We're starting our descent. We should be landing in about 20 minutes, right?
Which was announced over the state of Michigan.
Yes. So once that happens, now neither of us at the time have seen a Great Lake. So he makes this announcement, and we are looking out the window, and we see water, and that's all we see. And I'm like, are we over an ocean? Where are we go? Where's this guy? Where are we land?
We're going over the Great Lakes.
We were going over Lake Michigan.
Yeah, at that 25-minute mark, I saw the edge of, Michigan disappear in the plane.
And then just water.
And it was a full 25-minute ride to cross Lake Michigan to land.
And we did not see land. And we're I don't know, we're at 20-something thousand feet, clear skies. And I'm like, where's this guy landing? Is this guy Sully? Are we dropping in the water? What's going on here?
And when he came in on approach, did we?
Oh man, he was.
We were coming perpendicular to the shoreline, and I look out my window and I'm like, oh, you could see the airport. Man, did he make a bank and a drop? We went from like 25,000 to like 7, like that.
Let's just say I was having Top Gun, Tom Cruise.
Ooh, dude, it was
banking left.
That was fun.
And we just,
You had Danger Zone was playing in the
in
your
my head for sure.
Yeah, goose strap in. It was like
the boys said the same thing too. Greg and K-Tuff. It wasn't just us.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't fly that often, so maybe I thought I was like overreacting or whatever. But you said it.
It was an approach.
And Greg and Toff said, I think they mentioned Top Gun as well. So it was fun.
But the reason we flew then was to make sure we were there for, to get the GW reveal, which is 8:00 on Wednesday night. We pulled the old man move, being old men. Mind you, I'm 50. I'm not going to mention how Dan
50 plus.
There you go.
Under 60? We'll leave it at
let's
that.
Go under 60.
Let's go under 60.
We ate and we took the old man nap. Is what you do.
My wife was making fun of me. She's taking the old man nap. I said,
old man
I
nap.
said,
This is when I would be in Gen Con on the scooters doing the town while these guys are napping.
That's young guy territory.
I will definitely say with just me and him, without you there, we're definitely the old man not playing things like, oh, what are we doing? Like,
get up. Yeah, we're gonna get up for breakfast at 9 o'clock. 11:30.
We need Chris there. Chris is cracking a whip.
11:30. Where are we going? You gonna go in the shower? I don't know. You go first.
Gotta move.
Yeah.
So we kind of, the hotel was attached to the 3rd Street Market, which is we found that was an indoor mall that kind of failed, and a bunch of money went into it, and they made pretty much an indoor food court with all different types of food. And Dan was super pumped because they had a hot dog booth there, and he can get his hot dog for opening day.
Well, because opening day was Thursday.
Yeah.
We flew in Wednesday, and I'm like, I'm not going to be home. I'm like, I got to find a hot dog. Where's the hot? Sure enough, we found a hot dog vendor right there.
I mean, come on, you're in the Midwest. You're going to find rolled meat products.
I was a little nervous. That's all. I was in foreign territory. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I also needed a good hot dog too.
Okay, enough about Adepticon. Tell me about the quality of the hot dog. What's the hot dog?
Well, I had cheese on it, but that's Thursday. But it was Wisconsin, so I had to mix it up.
When in Rome.
So fast forward, we wake up from a stupor. We get online. Outside, I got to meet a good friend of the family. Martin Orlando is a good friend. I know his mom forever, and I know him when he was very young, kicking my butt at 40K when he was about 12.
What time was the GW show started? What, 8?
8-ish, yeah. So beautiful part. So the Baird Center is beautiful building. You could see the new. It's kind of like Jacob Javits here in New York. We're familiar with that. They built a new on the old. You could see it.
Comparative size? Like, is it Javits Center? Is it Gen Con Indie level?
Javits?
Like what kind of size are we talking about here?
It's way nicer than Javits.
Way nicer than Javits.
Definitely smaller than Indie because it's just.
I would say
huge.
Probably in between the two.
Okay,
I would go with.
I would say it's bigger than the building at PAX, the Philadelphia Convention Center.
Okay, yeah,
definitely bigger than that.
Because they had multiple levels, so like there was top 2, first, second floors were all suites and like small rooms that could be opened up to bigger rooms, and then the main hall was just like A, B, C, D, and E, and they were monster rooms. Kind of like that made me feel the most like the main Gen Con room. But the Baird Center is interesting because there was a little history we didn't know about that. It was originally. The Gen Con was at the Baird Center. What was it from 1998 to 2002? It was across the street, also at that.
We were in a hallowed ground.
Yeah,
that's
so like
that's D&D.
You could see how they outgrew
near Lake Geneva.
Near Lake Geneva,
which was
we were thinking about it, but it was just a trip. We were going to see Gary. But
we almost went to Gary's house and made the Mecca.
Yeah. How long would that? What kind of?
It would have been like a couple hours.
It would have been at least. It was only an hour and a half, but we had to rent a car, and like it just wasn't. We were like, why?
3 hours back there and back, and you had to rent a car, and it's what are you going to wave at a house and go around? Yeah.
I was going to bring the D20 mat and pray outside because I'm there.
You definitely would have been close and known the proper angle.
Yes. I mean, that's D&D Mecca.
Yes.
We gotta go.
Small note: you can rent out the house and play D&D, and they'll give you a DM. There's a whole thing you can do in the house. So
that's why we're just planning another trip for that one.
that might be completely different. That's when we stay Sunday. But
they let us film it totally.
Tell me about the hotel room, because when we go to Gen Con, one of the things that tells us whether we go to Gen Con or not is, are we going to get a hotel room that's within walking distance, or are we going to be 20 miles out at the airport? So what was your experience with the hotel?
Yeah, so the The access to the hotels was fairly easy. You're in the portal kind of thing. The prices were way down from Gen Con. Like, I won't say, but
Don't say it because we don't want them to change it.
more than half of what we pay at Gen Con. I mean, we did leave Saturday, but ironically, Dan paid for a night before. We made a mistake, but the good thing, our room was ready at 6 o'clock in the morning when it wouldn't have been. So it kind of worked out in our favor getting there that early. Normal room, we had one king size bed. The room was, average, comfortable. But not knowing that our hotel was technically attached to the 3rd Street Market, we didn't know. So morons, we walk all the way around City
the
Block
hotel
to get, and then we
And I'm
didn't.
like, that door looks.
Then you realize the back
familiar.
door's right
Wait
there.
a minute, that's is that the
Literally,
same place?
It was attached. Like, we went through the lobby hallway in that center, and it closed at, I want to say
11.
11. So the only thing that we'd had to walk around if it was too late and you had to walk to get back to the hotel. But literally the Barrett Center was through the 3rd Street Market and then
Half
one
a
block down, and we were
Not even a
there.
full block. It
I
was
would
like half
totally
a
stay at
block.
that hotel again.
Yeah. And especially because of that 3rd Street Market, which had my hot dogs that I needed.
Yeah.
And
That
then,
beer
was a night-
garden, you
there was
see
a
that
beer
picture I
gar-
showed? Like, it was
Yeah.
a beer garden.
with the large screen, projection screen
Yeah.
for the game,
Yeah,
where
they
the
had-
Brewers
they
fans
had
got
a
their butts kicked by the Yankees.
Stadium seating.
Torpedo bats for the win.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
But,
And then a little mini arcade.
yeah.
There's a
there's
bunch
the
of cool
food,
stuff.
Different types of food. Sushi. They had pizza, wings. They had a little bit of everything. So you could go there every day and eat.
Reading Terminal-esque?
Light,
Isk?
super light.
Okay.
but
Light.
yes, fair.
More new, where Reading Terminal's old,
Yeah, old and it has like the meats and stuff like that.
Like
This
pork
is-
sandwich has
This
tetanus.
was basically like I would say like enhanced food court.
Okay, nice.
Okay,
So tell me about the GW event.
The reveal.
Yeah, that was.
I did get to bring back Martin up,
Yeah.
Martin out front. Like getting
Yeah.
ready for what are we going to see here, and then
Oh, he had an entry in Golden Demon.
he had
yeah.
I believe he had entry in Golden Demon, or he was in an AOS event and he had his army showcased and he did win an award. Props to you, Martin. We'll post a picture of that award. It'd be really cool.
And we're hoping to get him in store to do it. He keeps saying it every time I see him. He's
We'll
like,
get
I'm going
him.
to come to the store and do painting jam. I'm
Yes.
going to come to the store and do paint. But he's busy as hell, so I
and
get
he
it.
knows so many of the influencers. They were like sitting up front, like guys like AOS coach, Vince
Yeah,
Ventrella.
Martin's in the in crowd,
He,
man.
he knows all those dudes.
We were peons at that moment.
Yeah, he's on their shows. I've seen them. I've seen his on other people's shows and stuff. So that's really cool. So they had front row seats, which was kind of cool. And big room, kind of like, I'm not sure. There's like kind of like we've seen like the AMG one we did in
Like the in-flight report?
in-flight report.
Yeah, probably about 700 seating.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was so. And then for the first time, I've only ever watched the stream on Twitch with GW, and that's a completely different host. So the hosts that are there, we're seeing it an hour before. There's no crossover. They have their own host, so it's
Yeah.
not like
And
they're streaming from.
They begged, pleaded, and swore us to secrecy, not to have our phones out and cameras.
Yeah.
Like,
Which is kind of weird because it's only an
It's
hour
an hour.
difference, and
Yeah.
they didn't show anything that wasn't shown. So, well, they showed the Wood Elves and the Beastmen are coming. They're gonna have their books, their full releases. No new minis, but they definitely packaged it. But I think the home run for that reveal, there we go. Torpedo bat home run.
Torpedo bat home run. Absolutely. Average judge 476-foot bomb down the left field line
Was
for
the Grand Cathay. Grand Cathay is a whole new miniature line for the area of Grand Cathay, which is an amalgamation of all Asian cultures in the old world. It's always been on the map. It's really never had minis except for maybe like one or two samurai guys or like even those in Nippon.
Yeah. Very Chinese more than anything, I would think.
Yes,
Yeah.
with hints of Mongolian top knots. They definitely got like culturally perfect, like
They try to get a little bit of everything.
a little bit of everything, but complete new minis, all new scale. So like they're not stumpy; they are the modern scale mini. So that army on this is I've only heard everything about this on the internet is like it's gonna look so weird, on the table next
Because
to the
they're
old,
bigger.
Yeah, they're like to scale.
People were actually complaining because, like some of the models, the goblins and the dwarves, are from circa 1992.
Some of the Empire guys too.
Even
they're
them, yeah.
humans,
And
they're
these minis are enormous
Now,
comparatively.
is this they're tipping the toe in the water to see if they want to start to redo those other armies?
I don't know if it's for that, if they're going to go that direction, but I will tell you they dove into the pool because this is an entire new line. It's
the first one.
entire new sculpts, so that they spent money. You know how it is. It's always about the molds, right? If they're going to spend money on the molds, then they're taking a step towards, hey, this is them really saying, we're in for this old world
Yeah,
stuff.
we really
This
don't
is
know
not just a
which
rehash.
Are any of those releases resin? Are they all hard plastic on sprues? I don't know. I'm assuming yes. But me personally, I think this is the beginning of, because Wood Elves and Beastmen are the last original armies that they announced at the beginning of the old world. We're doing all these armies, and then the other armies are all PDF. We're going to get to them later. Grand Cathay is the first one that wasn't on either one of those lists. So hey, look, fast forward 5 years from now, and the old world's still here. Is there a world where you have all new Chaos Marauder miniatures that are humans in scale, elves? Like, I could see that's where they want to go, but I think they had to let everybody play first with their old stuff, and then you get the choice. Do you maybe want to upgrade? But Cathay's all brand new.
Well, the good thing about Old World is one of the biggest complaints I always have about a new game when it comes out. It's factions, right? It's hard for a new game to try to break the barrier into entry and say, all right, here's a new game, I'm bringing it to you, and the faction count is low, and it's hard to
diversify.
Yeah, and maybe people don't like the two factions that you have, so it takes a while for maybe to hit that nerve. So here it is. Here's the old world. Here's all these, what was it, 7 armies we have now? 6? I can't remember the exact number. Whatever, we have quite a few of
Maybe
the old
7
world.
of
The old world armies is like, so here's a nice little atmosphere already, and people are buying into it.
And the game survived. The game survived that hiccup.
That hiccup, which is a little easier for them considering it just kind of rehashes with like a sprinkle of a new mini here and there, 1 or 2 minis per faction. But now here's them, as far as I can tell, this is them saying, we're in. We just spent all this money on all these artists to make all this artwork, to make the rules, to make the CAD for the minis, and to buy the molds. Because these are, I mean, I from what I could tell, they're plastic. They haven't really announced. I don't think they would be resin.
No, you never know. Maybe a hero model just to piss people off. But I think a lot of the work done.
To piss people off.
A lot of the.
It's for that reason only.
Let's just inflame it. But
listen, Blood Bowl minis still come in resin, so
yeah.
So I feel like Creative Assembly though did a lot of the hard lifting here because they designed a lot of Cathay for Total War. So that means there's a Kislev army that's completely done in plastic, ready to go. Now, there are some older Kislev models that could probably be incorporated, which would be really weird because like if you're going to have 90% new. But I think you can get away with this in Old World.
Yeah, and there's no way the lantern that's not resin.
No.
That thing is
There's
enormous.
a floating balloon. There's a balloon.
I know Chris hasn't seen, so
It is so...
we'll definitely have Job put on the screen. Dude, it's probably...
It's taller than the Sentinel.
Did you see that in person?
No, they just had
on
it on
Okay.
screen. But they showed battlefield shots.
Okay. That's cool.
The typical, but it's
cool looking.
enormous.
Yeah, it's probably the tallest mini I've ever seen for GW. But yeah,
and the Sentinels, which are the terracotta and the jade versions
which
of them.
they did mention one of them can be built out of warpstone, like different materials give them different abilities. And then the I don't know her name, but the leader, she comes in human form and dragon form, and her human form and dragon form are just like eloquent, and she's beautiful. Like once again, I always say sometimes when they sculpt female miniatures, they could be, she's beautiful. Like she's a beautiful miniature. Her face is beautiful.
A lot of detail too. It's not hidden behind a mask. It's all her face is out.
Yeah. So it's gonna be interesting to see where that goes. I did hear something people saying once again, interweb. The sales for Old World are super strong in Europe, not so much here in America. This could be something that tips the balance.
That's cool.
Here in America. An army like this, a brand new. Hey, Americans, we love everything new. Give us new. We don't have 200 plus years of millennia of centuries of history.
It's very
new.
She's like porcelain doll, like the face, right? I mean, they painted her that way too, but that's her.
And then she turns into the dragon. That's awesome.
Yeah,
right?
really.
That's really cool.
And she's like one of like 9 sisters supposedly, where they each have a dragon form. Now I don't know.
So they can branch out that far.
I don't know how far they're gonna go with them, but
that's cool.
Yeah. So then what else? Let's keep going. They did
we keep going.
We gotta go.
But it's Old World and it's fun.
I will say
new,
to our exciting. Old World crew, someone got the digital version of the Old World.
Digital version. I've been buying minis.
And it's fun.
I've been buying minis. I've been buying
dwarves.
I've been buying. Well, I don't have to buy dwarves because everybody knows Danny Dwarf's got all the dwarves. I am going to buy the new shield bearers because they did come out with some new units, but I've been buying some Bretonians.
Oh, okay.
For sure. and I got the core book. I was reading it until 5 o'clock in the morning after we watched some queso. And
I pass out in bed and I hear a noise and I just kind of open my eyes and I look and he's in there and I see the
like-
parchment screen,
I was in there
which I
deep.
know he's in the he's in the
Deep in
overall
there.
book, and I'm like, holy shit, he's gonna be dead tomorrow. I'm like,
rehashing the old rules, seeing
So,
what changes,
old
looking
world
at the new
community.
Plutonians.
there's a fire under his tuchus. So
Yeah,
all right,
Strike
so,
while the iron's hot.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
doink.
The dwarven iron.
The dwarven. Oh,
Yeah.
damn!
See what I
Actually,
did
you
there?
know what?
See what I did there?
I'm kind of feeling my Bretonians right now, honestly, because I want speed. Speed.
Anyway.
But
So they did Kill Team. Typhon
Yes.
is the first Tyranids introduction into Kill Team, and they put Tyranid terrain in that box, which I'm sure is going to be everybody's going to
Sought
want.
after.
Yeah, and I have to feel that's going to be one of those allocation nightmares. Like that box set is going to vanish, and everybody's going to wait 6 to 9 months to get
Yes.
the terrain solo.
if you like it and you want it, order it because it's not going to be.
Kill Team's always had
Yeah.
that allocation. Like all those boxes they've had problems with, and because this is Tyranid's first time in Kill Team, it was Raveners. The new miniatures were awesome. Spearhead. So the reveal was a little lackluster in certain areas. I think like AOS felt being an AOS fan, it was very lackluster. They did show the new Spearhead, which is the new Spearhead box is Sand and Bone. We're going to the Realm of Death. 2 new sides to the board, different placements of the objectives where they are. Ironically, they repackaged the Warcry terrain that was all the undead terrain. There was the bust of the Neferata.
Yep.
And they put all that in this box. So like I remember FaZe was like, I want that model and I want that piece of terrain, but I don't want to buy a Warcry box. Well, it's now
Now you can buy separate.
So
And then-
are they putting cards, like new objective cards and
Yes.
stuff?
Everything.
Okay,
I
good.
don't
That's
know
cool.
it's like it's basically like
season
the
2.
season two of the
I
the
like it.
Spearhead
Good.
boxes,
Yeah.
and then they're
New
also
twists.
not just the General's Handbook is also going to be there.
New General's Handbook. It's a general hand box.
Yeah.
It actually has like objective markers, and there's for the season, it's going to have its own a bunch of new stuff in the box for the generals.
It's cool.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and
4 new
new
spearheads,
spearheads.
which is interesting. You're a Seraphon player.
Yeah.
They new Seraphon.
Yeah, I saw they put the skinks in there.
Yes, and they made it so I think what the problem was they got rid of the Carnosaur being such a large model issue on the small board. It's all infantry now.
And now
So-
it's bodies.
Now
So
it's
you
bodies.
got the Cities of Sigmar, got the Fusel platoon.
Yeah.
Which is funny because Wave was always trying to get me to drop the cannon and just put.
Yeah, Cities is all ranged now in that.
But now it's all
particular
ranged. There's an Ogre in there. The Seraphon, which has the Skinks and the Saurus.
Any celestial frogs?
No frogs in
The
there.
chameleons though are in
the
there.
chameleon
from-
skinks are in
so
there.
they've
yeah.
started.
Oh, okay.
They've started to repack either
Yeah.
Warcry warbands or Underworld's forces have now creeped into. Technically, the Underworld's warband, that's the 3 Croxagors, is now the leader with his retinue.
I think a skink shaman
in
maybe
that.
too.
I think so.
I think that's where this little guy is right there. See that little guy?
Oh
right
yeah,
there?
yeah.
And then we got Osiark,
Oceark is very like elite, like real big base
a
models.
bunch of
which,
big Griblies.
Oh, okay. It's got the big like Motarks, right? The big
Yeah.
flying guys.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I saw a
Yeah.
picture of that one.
Big
What
time.
was the 4th one?
Ogres.
The Ogre Kingdoms had one.
It's got the Scrap Glut, which is the war machine. They're
Yes, and I
basically- yeah.
believe the Underworlds or the Warcry, the Hunter with the bunch
The
of
Hunter with,
Noblars.
yes, with a
which
bunch
is-
of Noblars.
so they
and
still-
the,
Okay, the Underworld's one.
Yeah, so I think that's
and,
why they've
what
started
is
to.
it, so
What?
Sabretooth, something like that.
He might have one single saber.
One
tooth.
single
It's like a
saber,
hunting
yeah.
pack,
Yeah.
or whatever. But yeah, so when you look at their OG spearheads, I feel maybe those were problematic in like playing a game of spearhead.
Mm-hmm.
But now you have another option because the old ones probably won't go away until maybe they go out of sale. They stop selling them, but still. But that was it for AOS. They did not show like Ideneth, Deepkin, and I want to say.
Caradron is supposed to be on the menu, but we still got
but
nothing
there was
for
2
them.
ones in color, and it's going to kill me that I don't remember the Ideneth and I can't remember the other one. There was 2 armies in color, and then there was 4 in black and white. So the roadmap, they didn't show any of those miniatures.
No.
So and
Wow.
like the next reveal's not until I think May.
Mm-hmm.
So it's out there. Like
It felt as Sigmar fans, it felt light.
yeah, they clapped. We're done. Moving on. We're like,
Yeah.
all right, cool. That's happened before, so I'm not really surprised. There was
Well,
a new. Go
There's
ahead.
just so many weeks in the year, right? And they have so many games they want to
Yeah.
support.
It's hard.
So it's
hard,
really tough.
especially considering what they announced for 40K.
Yes, and I also think there's production woes because Soul Blight Grave Wars just got announced. They showed those miniatures 3, 4, 5 months ago.
Yeah, and they're still not here.
And they've just went up for pre-order, and it's not even all of them. Not the terrain, like the
Yeah,
module.
it's just the starter box,
It's
right?
just the starter box. So like I think that's also maybe we won't show you the miniatures because they know there's a production issue. But next on the list was there was a chapter approved mission deck for 40K, like a deck of missions and like different layouts, and they had crazy weird like Chevron style deployment zone. Bonkers.
It was more like it's definitely like if you're a hand-to-hand combat kind of army, you would like this.
Yeah, there's a
deployment.
unit
Well, it
starting.
makes sense because they announced what?
Armageddon, which is a crusade with Grey Knights and Space Wolves.
Yes,
That's awesome.
Well, Space Wolves, yeah, at the end.
That's two of my favorite Space Marine armies.
But once again, Grey Knights, no rehash. Got one new baby carrier.
Well, you could say 2 because there's 2 variations if you
But
really
yeah,
want.
but
to
it's got
stretch
this awesome mace and a giant flail.
And we don't even know if it's plastic or not yet. We don't, you know, the mace and the flail. We don't know if those are like resin.
Oh, no, they'd
kits?
probably be all plastic.
I
Knowing
hope
them,
so.
I guess say one thing they know they dropped GW has dropped all resin with 40K. I think they've learned. We'll put in the other games and make them angry.
Yeah.
But
on purpose.
yeah.
I'm angry on purpose.
So they did mention the Crusade. So jumping the gun with the Space Wolves, they did mention World Eaters, Death Guard, and Thousand Suns were all getting new spearheads. They new unit for Thousand Suns are like robots, very old Men of Iron, automaton like robots, and they all have that very Egyptian motif on them.
Yeah, with like
Yeah.
shoulder-mounted missile pods or something.
World
like that?
Eaters
Yeah.
got this roided out like slaughter 8-pound dude.
Which your son was not happy about because he only got 1 unit.
Well, there was rumors there was supposed to be Juggernaut Cavalry and like a slaughter, a butcher or the guy who takes care of everybody's nails in their head. They didn't come out with that. So Death Guard was already leaked, their one model, so they're getting a new spearhead. And then the Thousand Suns get a new spearhead, which just includes the robot. So they are getting new spearheads, not spearheads, I'm sorry, combat patrols for them. But once again, that was it. They kind of moved on. The Crusade part was where they ended, and then it's like, wait.
There's
And then they
more.
showed Space
There's
Wolves.
more.
And then when they showed the Space Wolves, you want to talk about a raw,
Yeah.
though.
And
I mean,
when,
how long has it been since they
For
had
a
a
full refresh?
full refresh? Because
Well,
that's
they-
what this is.
so
It's a
they've
full
gotten-
refresh.
all these armies have gotten little things, but when they said they showed 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 kits maybe here, and they're like, there's 12 more coming. Like, so this is just the beginning. So there's very few times they do the full range refresh. Like
It's
Grey
been
Knights.
12 years
Yeah.
for Wolves at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they have Primaris Marines. Like they've made Primaris,
Space Wolves. Yeah.
Space Wolves, but now it's just like they had these
Dude,
the head takers.
The head takers. The guys with the shields and the giant axes with wolves.
Yeah, just like home run. They were awesome. The crowd went nuts. And then
Absolutely nuts.
GW does something not being there for the first time. They shut the screens go, and then they ask questions like you're at. Like I've been to San Diego Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, and we got any questions? And people,
Like a Q&A?
Yeah, they did a
Oh,
Q&A.
that's cool.
It
And
took
then-
probably about 15, 20 minutes of Q&A.
super dodgy too. Like, oh well, if I could answer that, maybe I would. And
Well,
like,
sometimes people ask questions. And I mean, come on. You
can't
know
really-
that.
Who
you
would
know
win
how-
in a fight if
Yeah.
why?
Yeah. When are we going to see this and when are we going to see that to like obscure things?
Yeah.
To like, they're not going to answer that.
Yeah.
They never do.
So it was kind of like I think they just wanted to hear from people.
So who were the people doing the question? Like the answering, I should say. Like who was on the stage for
So
GW?
I think his name is Adam Troke. I want to say was like one.
He's the guy that's usually doing
he used to
the
do,
stream.
He used to do the
Yeah,
old streams.
but he was actually there
He
at
stopped. and
Adepticon.
He's been live, and then the other guy was Foley. He's head of like box games and I believe books. He's also an author. So it was just them
and
two.
like 20 books or something like that.
He,
he
yeah,
mentioned,
Martin
yeah.
was telling me everything. If you want to go and talk, and they love talk. They do love talking to you. Like, so if you go over to them, and everybody was so willing to talk to you if you meet them on the floor and stuff. So
They just don't ask for inside information.
They're not gonna tell you, but they're
they're just not allowed.
Yeah.
That's just what it comes down to.
Or they just don't know.
True.
Either they don't
Very
know
much
or they
true.
don't
Very
allow. So one way or another, you're not getting. You're going to get a cagey answer because it's the only way. Otherwise, they're just going to say no all the time. So I guess they're tired of saying no. So
Yeah.
they come up with cagey answers. Which,
so people started filing out after like kind of the Q&As, and he's like, "Don't go anywhere. It's a mistake. It's a mistake." And we're like, "Whoa, oh, maybe there's gonna be another reveal." And it wasn't a reveal. They announced everybody's gonna get a free miniature, and so
that's cool.
They gave us a single Primaris Space Wolf Marine. But the box, I have to say the box cost them more to print than the miniature.
many, absolutely.
Because it was a Space Wolf box and it had a motif with claws and the Space Wolf symbol on it. And like, I feel like that was, so then we filed out of the room into the main hall and they just kind of And were they really checking if people were double dipping? I don't know, but like the miniature was not anything new. But
They did ask us to bring out our badges on the phone, and we just everybody just kind of went over and grabbed one.
Yeah, not knowing that Adepticon prints your tickets on the back of your badge. So like if you signed up for something, it's on but that was a free event, so there was no printing. We were a little confused. Something to definitely read up on next time we go.
But overall, GW reveals good time.
Yeah,
I would say 90% just great time. So fun to see the reaction from the crowd for the Space Wolves. Seeing any kind of new minis always a joy.
Yeah.
For me personally, I mean, good Marines is a good thing because courage and honor. So I am, and it is Grey Knights as well, which is another new baby carrier. Okay, fine, but for me to see them spending money on Old World was huge because I'm in the end that's probably my biggest fandom that I'm still just a little butthurt about because they blew it all up. But now they brought it back and we kind of time traveled. We're like 100 years prior, I think.
Yeah.
So 100 years before the end times?
Before the end times.
Yeah. There's no Ever Chosen.
Yeah.
No Call Franz. There's a different Magnus the Emperor's not even the Emperor yet. It's like still kind of
so they're
open.
Okay.
Yeah, and all the main characters are not like alive unless they're long lived.
Or they're brand new. Like
Yeah, well this is where you could throw
Carl
in
Franz is the squire.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not even born yet.
Maybe Carl Franz's dad might be there. I mean, and then he's
or
the
even
character,
grandfather.
right?
Yeah.
Okay,
so
that's cool. I like how they didn't get rid of the continuity, but they went back.
The
to
map's
it.
still there. The map's there. It's just kind of like it's like
this is what it looked like 100 years ago.
Who's populating it? But it was cool. They did a giant. They made the whole crowd like roar. Everybody give it like a roar, and like that was cool being in that energy in there. So
we made it through it 3 times, I think, actually.
Yes,
because they were trying to get it on social media.
You're not loud enough.
Yeah, of course.
So then we made sure we had cheese curds before we went to bed. Very Wisconsin thing.
Wisconsin.
Little fried cheese curds. And went to bed, and then the next day, Thursday. We want to talk about Thursday.
Thursday. All right, starts Thursday. Oh, okay. Thursday we hit the AMG room first.
Yeah, this is our first attack on the main
the vendor hall and stuff.
convention
Yeah,
center.
so it's open.
First floor was BattleTech.
What's
The
great is
BattleTech pods were there.
What's great is it's busy.
I love the BattleTech pods.
They were old school
man.
pods were there.
down there with a giant BattleTech room. They had a
They
whole
looked
board.
slightly enhanced too.
The graphics were a little. Well,
The engine
I
looked a
hadn't
little
seen them
smoother.
since Gen
I remember
Con.
we this has nothing to do with Adepticon, but there was a guy that lived in Pompton Lakes that had 8 of them in his basement.
Oh my god!
And we would go up there and play every weekend.
Oh, that's
that
amazing.
could be the guy there. I mean,
Who knows?
I
Maybe it is
played
the
so
guy.
much BattleTech
Yeah.
in those pods.
Yeah.
So cool.
So
cool.
It really was. What's great is it was busy, but not crowded.
Yeah.
Because it is just tabletop guys and painters. It's not. There's no board gamers, no card gamers. So we're looking at 10,000 people, and at the time, probably 8,000 of them were already there playing because we did the old man thing. We didn't get there at 7:30.
Roll out. Yeah, we got no.
Yeah,
no
we get there when we
appointments.
get there. We had breakfast at that cool. What was the name of that place?
Sweet Diner.
Sweet Diner. Oh my god.
Go to
Amazing.
Sweet. Take
Go to
take
Sweet
an
if
Uber,
you're in
it's worth
Wisconsin.
it.
Go to Sweet Diner. Amazing.
They the bottom suites were all painting seminars. People would have hours of they would show painting techniques and stuff. That was all downstairs. And then there was a lot of vendors in the hall. So when we got to the 3rd floor where the main hall is before we went into the AMG room, all vendors in the outside promenade, little booths set up and stuff like that. So that was
including probably my most genius idea was definitely not my idea, but some guy was selling pizza by the slice.
yeah,
30
like
feet
smart,
from the entrance to
Smart.
the tournament area for AMG.
That makes perfect sense.
smart, super smart.
Because how much time do you have? You've been in those tournaments. You have maybe 18 minutes to scoff something down.
Yeah,
and
my
you can
game
blow-
my game ran long, and I have to start my
and
next game.
And you can blow 10 of it just going outside. This is literally 15 feet from the entrance to the AMG tournament area, and the line was, and they were churning it.
Yeah.
So next year, RSG presents Pizza by the Slice. Is
Oh
that
my, absolutely. Red Seal Pizza. I tell you right
Cool if
now.
you could like stamp a pizza with the Red Seal symbol.
Red Seal sheet pepperoni. I don't know, whatever. We could do something, but
So yeah, AMG room. We went to AMG room. We knew a few of our locals were playing in the X-Wing. So it was K Toff, Jason M on our Discord. They were playing X-Wing.
Armada.
Armada was our
Greg.
friend Greg, our UK friend, and Will, who's our community leader for MCP, was a judge at the MCP tournament.
So as of Thursday, he was still very energetic.
Yeah, I mean, judge. You like
By the time Saturday rolled around, I think
I'm
Will
sure.
was
I'm
feeling
sure.
it.
Yeah.
Which you can't blame him. I mean, it's a long weekend.
So how many people? So X-Wing and Armada, they're dead games. How many people are actually there playing these games?
Well, let's not upset people on the dead games thing because This is the full handoff. So with this being done, X-Wing Alliance is in full swing. So it's a community-driven game where they're starting to ramp up because they've been quiet, I think, waiting for this to be, oh, you're not around anymore. We're going to, like, so I think for, like, them creating their own ships and new properties and, like, you know, however they're going to make some deal with some 3D printer company to make new ships if, like, you do the Marauder, say, I think, but that's another story. So Greg...
50 tables at least for... Oh, no, you want to
No.
talk Legion? Oh, no, you
Right,
want
I would
Legion.
say, so let's say Armada was
Armada was,
170 people roughly playing Armada.
Armada.
170 enthralled, excited, competitive
3 by
players.
6, so it's not like
That's gigantic table space.
MCP used 3 by 3, Shatterpoint 3 by 3. These are 3 by 6 tables. There was a lot of people playing Armada, and a lot of them have come through Dan's store because of Greg pointed this out to us. A lot of people, because of the Armada events we've held in our store, guys have come from Connecticut to come play in those Armada events, and a lot of them were there. And Greg has an RSG token tray, and he had that out. And people are like, oh, I've been to RSG to play Armada. That's awesome. We love that store.
Yeah,
so that was kind of cool.
It was really wild. And I was also sad because I felt bad seeing that this many people were engaged in this game.
And they,
Yeah, there's money left on the table. There's Star Wars space games not being produced. You have Shatterpoint, you have Legion. Won't even talk about the Legion revamp, the list of new kits coming because they had their AMG panel. We'll get to that.
You do think, just real quick, I hate to go off topic, but it just came into my head because we didn't talk about pre-show. Armada, obviously, pre-painted minis, probably the problem, right?
Size of boxes.
Size of
Same thing with
boxes,
X-Wing.
whatever. Same thing with X-Wing, right? Do you think there's an avenue in which you can bring in modeling into and just revive the game? Do you think there's an avenue for that?
Sal was talking about that before the game, before the show.
I have it off screen here. One of the other companies has a tank game, and I was looking at their products, Clashes of Steel, I think it was from GF9, and I'm like, oh, I love tank games. And the guy gave me a free demo of the miniature, and he handed me a sprue. And I was like, my brain instantly went to X-Wing. Like, this could have been the future of X-Wing. If you would just give me the sprue, I'll build it myself and paint it at some point. You know what I mean? And maybe keep the game alive. Who knows the logistics and, like, it just might need it to happen to go another way. We don't know. But seeing X-Wing was roughly, now these numbers are all estimates because it's very hard to get
Table
pinpoint
counts
numbers. Like with 220 people over maybe multiple days for X-Wing because there was Heat 1, Heat 2, then cuts and vice versa, and then finals. Then there was also open play, and they were doing double games. They would each do 9 points and 9 points on one side, 2 different teams. And then there was tons of those games. So there was a lot of team games.
What's his name since he was there? Our Asmodee buddy, Dan Fowler.
Oh, Dan, your rep from
my
Asmodee.
My Asmodee rep was there. Dan, I'm sorry for calling you out. I don't know if it was a secret or not. if you weren't there, it was a figment of my imagination seeing a handsome Dan Fowler walking around. But he was a great conversation talking about how they were doing those team games and how much fun they were. And he pointed it out. And we were always joking about, me with my dial deficiency.
Oh, you got a kick out of that.
And I got to turn around and, like, face the wrong way. But he did mention that in the team games, you see the players, like, doing the little.
When it's time to set dials, like, what are we doing?
Left, right. He mentioned that, and I looked at the table, and there's 30, 40 tables of these team games going on. And these people were enthralled. No one's on their phones. No one's chit-chatting. Everybody's just, like, focused on the game, and they're playing it.
And they're fun. So, like, the idea that there's no, like, you're not, oh, am I going to make cut? Like, these are all fun. I noticed, I will say, as Adepticon abroad across the whole system, every game, there was more team games happening than, like, I'm not going to backtrack into AOS, but, like, AOS singles, there was, like, 196 entries. There was 212 team entries. So, like I think people get more excited. Like, let's play together. There's 4 people at the table. Like, I think multiplayer or, like,
it's something that we don't see anywhere else. Adepticon, I think, brings that out.
Yeah. So once again, the numbers on X-Wing were hard. It was very sad. We'll have pictures. Hopefully, we could show up of, like, some shots we had of, like, the expanse of the room's nice size room. But
Enormous,
seeing all the tables, Legion was tough to, once again, another 6x3 game. So I counted like 65 tables at one point. They were on break, so I couldn't really tell.
We didn't get an exact number, but it was probably over
MCP.
You were looking at over 100 players, easy.
Yeah, MCP. Will said over 2 days about 200 plus participants, and Shatterpoint had about 100. There was a lot of tables, a lot of Shatterpoint tables were there. So like.
So out of them all, you think Shatterpoint was the least?
It's probably about the same as
maybe. I feel like Legion, because Legion's like
Yeah.
Once again, a big table. You got to bring a lot because think about it. Armada doesn't have terrain. You just bring your ships. Every table, the Legion tables were fantastic. I think Graham is one of our community leaders for Legion. I think he knows the guy who builds these tables. They are off the hook.
I would say the Armada event probably had the most people.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It was close to 200.
If you had asked me before this, which one would have been the biggest, I probably would have said X-Wing.
Yeah.
But that's crazy.
Yeah.
I would say you want to go down the order, it's probably Armada, X-Wing, MCP, and then Shatterpoint. As far as like body count.
Yeah. It's hard to do with the different heats on different days, like totals. Like they're
Not that Shatter was underrepresented. It was there.
And that I mean, going back to what you said, that hurts because the top two are games that are not supported by
that's
MCP
the
anymore,
choice. Yeah.
which
Yeah.
really sucks.
Yeah. And then we did get to see K. Toff, one of his cuts. He was actually playing a designer from FFG days.
Oh my God.
He played Alex Davey, who ironically he's one of the creators for the Jumpmaster or in and around the
Broke
Jumpmaster.
the game, right? Broke the
That
game.
broke
that
the
time.
game.
And he
And-
knew it, and he told K. Toff, I brought it because Manaru broke the game.
And he's like, and this is the last major event. I want to play it.
Yep.
And the worst part is Toph winds up losing the game
By like
17-15.
2, yeah.
And he to make the cut, you needed 10 points, and he wound up with 9 because of that loss.
So he bubbled out on
He
him.
bubbled out
That's
on
awful.
him.
Yep.
And then, well, it is awful, but it's also like, you can tell everybody,
It's
well,
very apropos.
the
Yeah.
guy made the game. I had a hard time beating him. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And it was cool seeing him there, him playing in this thing, and like he had his own prize pool for people that he played against. He gave Toph some cool stuff.
That's
like,
cool.
Yeah. So
Oh,
like
dude, that was great. I forgot about that. He
Yeah.
whipped out this bad after he beats him. Great guy. I saw the whole thing. We're staring at because I wanted to make sure Toph knew who it was. I was like, Toph, you know? He's like, yeah, I know damn well who I'm playing right now. I said, okay. And then they finished up, and then he's like, all right, thanks, great game, shaking hands. He whips out a little like goodie bag, and he's like, oh, I make my own little prize support bag because I go to all these events over the years. And he pulled out, I don't know, from the first edition, the spot gloss cards, and,
yeah,
and
I
like
think
tokens,
he had like
and
a
dice.
It wasn't the credit card, the translucent one, but it was another one.
Another one with like spot gloss, and he's like, here, take whatever you want. And Toph took one of the X-Wings, I think.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was just really cool. We got a picture. I'll make sure I give it to John so he can maybe post it up so you can see a picture of the two of them at the game. It was great.
So that's really the AMG room. Then we kind of like sauntered into now, mind you.
Was AMG in the room like selling things?
Yeah. No, they didn't have a store, but their front booth was like where all of the prize support was, and they had a prize support wall, which was cross faction. So like if you won, like Toph won at Shatterpoint or won at X-Wing, he spent it all on Shatterpoint.
It was like an AMG credit system, not just a game system.
And there was some really cool stuff in there. I mean, well, not for Armada or X-Wing, but like hence. But the other stuff was
the
really
Shatterpoint
cool.
stuff was cool. The acrylics for the Shatterpoint was cool.
Yeah, they had painted
thread-
range,
the
like
thread
range,
tracker.
2, 3, 4, 5. Those were awesome. But they were all up front. So like Will Schick and them were, if they weren't at they were at the kind of learn to play, kind of like in the main hall. Asmode, they had their presence where they had the real learn to play, Legion learn to play, all those games they had there. Star Wars Unlimited was there too. So then the main vendor hall was unique because like at Gen Con or other ones, it was the center. The other side was a GW room, AMG room. They had walls that could section it off. But when we first got there, it was all open.
It was wide open. It was tremendous.
So the room felt massive until they started to close it at like the end of the day. And I'm like, oh, it's only, the main vendor hall's only like 5 aisles.
Because that closed at 7, was it?
Maybe.
I think so. And then they started putting up the walls. You started
The
hearing
retractable walls.
Yeah, the walls going up, and it was like, we're getting locked in.
The airlocks go up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like out of Maze Runner or something with the walls turning. But and then so then we just kind of sauntered through those, and like for me, it's I stopped at every booth. Like it was really came down to like, oh, look at this. Oh my God, look at this. Dan, talk to this guy.
Oh my
this
God,
is.
you want to talk about talking? I didn't want to bring it up.
You put the schmooze on?
But you know me, I'm a store hunter, and these are vendors. This is the perfect time to talk to them, and they want to talk to me right now. So
especially because you're in the Midwest and you're on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So like if you're a Midwest vendor and you want to get your feet wet in the East Coast, talking to you is probably really good.
Yeah. So when I went to the Monument Hobbies booth and I told him who I was, he's like, I just packed an order for you. I just sent out all the amp paints, and then we started talking about the new spray paints that Monument's doing. With,
they have a complete line of colored spray paints that are like larger than GW paint cans with way more colors.
Color Forge, is that the company
Yeah, it's a
they're doing
separate
in
company
conjunction
that
with?
the company that makes the colored spray paint makes their primers and
The
varnish.
sealer and the varnish. Yeah.
So
but they
yeah.
mentioned, I think he mentioned 34. I think was the number 34
Different sprays.
rattle cans.
yeah,
That's
so like
that's a big. That's a
That's-
lot. That's a lot of floor space.
That's
That's what
more than anybody else has.
yeah,
Nobody has 34 cans.
it's on
GW
its own
has
single
like
rack. It's like a tower. It's like a
GW
twin
maybe
tower.
has 12. Army Painter maybe has another dozen as well. There's 34.
Coming soon to RSG.
Yes.
Question mark.
Actually,
Okay.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's apparently it's a separate portal, and I had to set up an account this week, but it's definitely coming.
They had a lot of content creators sitting at the Pro Curl booth, and they were Monument Hobbies, and they were like sitting down doing paint things. So we saw Louise Sugden, who was a person who used to paint and work at GW proper, left, created her own little store and streaming and all the social media.
Rogue Hobbies.
Rogue Hobbies.
Rogue Hobbies. Huh?
There was
And then we didn't see Rob first. Actually, we saw Rob on the way.
we
right?
saw him in the third market. So Rob, the Honest Wargamer,
Honest Wargamer, the one of the guys we watch for AOS all the
I
time.
watch him like religiously.
Yeah, I couldn't help it. I was being a fanboy. He was ordering food in the market by our hotel.
He was about to order food. We apologize for if you.
I cut him
see this
off.
by
We
some
might have
chance.
made Rob. Hope he got to eat. Rob, I hope you got to eat. I'm sorry, bro.
He was getting some coffee.
But he was a gentleman.
Yeah.
Very pleasure to talk to. And Rob is Rob. And that's always my favorite.
He's
when
him.
you meet somebody, he's him. We were walking away going, he's him. Fantastic guy. We had a great conversation. We mentioned, the preview show, and he gave us some thoughts on it, whatever,
Yeah.
and we just chatted.
Yeah.
He did
Kinda
he did compliment us on our appearance.
Yeah, because it brought up. I started with we're old. I remember back in the days when we're talking about the old world with Cathay and stuff. I don't know how it says, and I'm like, yeah, I'm 50. And he's like, wait, you're 50? Because you look great.
Yeah. I was like, I don't want to tell you how old I am, man. He goes, well, you guys both look great. How do you do it? I says, well, you know what? Never stop gaming.
Told him never stop gaming. So
That's what I told him. He's like, all right. I says, listen, he's like, I look like you guys. I says, well, that's a good thing because you just said we look good. I said, just stay the course and you'll be fine. He's like, okay, cool.
He did hint. I won't say, but he did hint at the next Old World Army, which he thinks is coming. I won't say. If you see me at the store, you could ask me.
Oh wait, he didn't tell. Did he tell us not to say?
I don't. When you're at the store, you could ask me. I'll let you know.
Rough.
But
That's all I'll say.
whoa. Okay, I get that.
Okay. Oh.
But yeah, so it's him and Louise might be friends, like they might be associates and partners in life and stuff. So that I saw her and I'm like, oh, where's Rob? And Rob
was right there. Yeah.
And a few other content creators were there, and every day they had different slots to their painting at the booth and stuff. They had a lot of those. Army Painter was there. They had people at Army Painter.
Mm-hmm.
Peachy is another famous person who used to do how to paint videos for GW.
For GW, yeah.
He was there. He's friends with Rob and Luis, and they have
I was shocked.
Oh,
how
yeah.
many we saw?
There's so many. It was
12 different vendors, 12 different personalities.
Yeah, but this is their bread and butter. Like I could see where what they do is lost on the other conventions because it's just not there. This is where you go.
Many wargaming guys were there.
Mini wargaming guys. They have the Battle Bunker in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
They were all there. They had their own booth with their own. They have their own miniatures game. They get Star Ravager.
Yeah.
That was cool seeing a lot of independent games, smaller games, trying to find a spot with lower price. Pretty much let's get the price down lower than GW, and it makes it so much more accessible for certain people. All right, it's still kind of.
It's really one of those things. Some people I'm not playing GW because it's too expensive, and you go to now. Here's the thing that's not expensive. Would you like to play this instead?
Yep. And
okay.
No, good. What were we gonna say?
I was just gonna say compared to it's not going to compare to Gen Con obviously, but compared to PAX, vendor room size, bigger, smaller, same as PAX.
I'd say bigger.
It was hard to tell because of the wall.
Vendor.
The vendor was smaller.
It was
per
smaller,
rows, but they were long.
but focused.
On all mini
It
games.
was 99.9%.
There wasn't a single card vendor. No one.
We
I
saw
saw
one person selling
one
cards?
booth had Magic packs, and then some guys had some Star Wars Unlimited sealed product, that was random. But literally everything was painting accoutrement.
Which we spent way too much on, by the way.
Paint lines. So 2 tint coats was
Duncan Rhodes.
Duncan Rhodes. He had his own.
Was he there?
He
was there too.
Live. So a lot of paint lines.
Just the fact that Duncan and Rob come from across the pond. So that tells you right there that
Yeah,
how
AOS
big this
coach.
is.
I watch AOS coach. He's from Australia.
Yeah.
He, like that's a trek to
you
come
want to-
here.
That's a gigantic.
That's
It's
a
place.
gigantic
trek.
fight,
But this is
right?
how important Adepticon is. So it's really interesting.
But vendors were, I would say, it's definitely, like you said, it's less than PAX Unplugged, but super focused.
Yeah. I bought 2 gaming mats, and I brought. Once again, my wife says, "Why are you bringing an empty suitcase on a trip?" And I'm like, "Because I don't know what I'm going to come home with." And thank God, so here's a leap of faith. I found the company Mat by Mars. I never really got into. I'm not a fan of vinyl game mats. We know in the past what we've
They
seen.
suck.
Well,
Well,
Mats by Mars. I went there and he sold me because we know the state of the mats in our store. They get stained. Like people like to eat on those tables, and it just happens. The vinyl is super. You're able to clean it, and he mutilated. So Dan wasn't here. He's giving me the shtick. I'm like,
do we have to talk about this?
what about the creases on them? And like he showed me, like he creased it because I said I want to get this home, but it's 60 by 44. I'm gonna have to bend this to get it in my luggage. He's like, no worries. He goes, if you crease it and there's folds, you just reverse. You roll against the grain. So if they're this way, we're gonna roll this way. Unroll it and roll a few times against different angles, and it'll self-heal itself. You won't see it. You might still see it on the white part backing, but the colored printed side, you won't see it at all. The only reason I bought them too is they're the only company that had AOS printed deployment zones and 40K printed deployment zones. They're very faint, but now you don't have to sit there and measure where does this go. They're all printed. No, for an experiment for the store, they're food proof. You know what I mean? They're quick to lay down objectives and stuff
High
like that.
resolution art.
Pretty.
All the ejector zones marked, like you said.
And he can also personalize them. He says it's very easy for me to put your symbol, your RSG symbol, anywhere on this mat and make it. And I was like, all right, cool.
But the son of a bitch gave me a heart attack because you know how I am about like keeping the stuff pristine. He's got the little sample mat and he's showing Sal and he just takes it and he crumbles it up into a ball.
He almost had a
Like
coronary.
violently. And I'm like, I actually backed out of the booth because I was just like literally taken aback.
And he did that. He did that roll. That
And then he take it out and then he showed me how to heal it or whatever. And then we're talking and then he's making me laugh, right? He had a certain vibe to him.
He was funny. He was a good salesman.
And at the very end, he gives me his business card. And his business card is a vinyl.
It looked like a white piece of paper, and it flopped out like a noodle, like a
and
wet noodle.
I literally took it, I crumbled it up, and I stuck it in my pocket.
We
and he started
laughed.
laughing. And I told him I'm giving him the official sham wow vendor of the con.
He won.
Because this
He
guy, he was without a doubt. He had that energy, like he was going to basically do like slap chop energy, sham wow energy. Fantastic guy.
Yeah. So that was something. So I came home with that and a bunch of other like random stuff. There were some miniatures and tokens. Baron of Dice is a very famous dice company.
Living on the edge, Baron of Dice.
Living on the edge. We won't say why. Cool dudes. They got a great tote they gave me. Yeah. So like, and then we talked to Table War. They carry fat mats and they have a different kind of miniature carrier system that's able to be sold to the stores and stuff.
Yeah,
so
kind of like a light toolbox thing with multi-level trays. So it's multi-adjustable. It's not just like 3
makeup
slots.
case hard outside with a
and they're only like a
plexiglass front.
quarter-inch apart, so you can really fine-tune it.
Yeah.
And then some of the shelves have like breakthrough, so the insert could come out. So maybe like the wings could come up through a shelf. So,
So
you
if
can
you
still
have
have,
tall mini next to short minis.
you can still have a half a shelf with the minis coming up through the bottom. So
Cool.
it's definitely an ingenious idea.
Yeah, really cool.
And it looked affordable. So
Yeah.
worst part always with these things is shipping. They're huge. That might be a problem.
Yeah.
But
Well, we'll see. So really, aside from that, in the vendor hall, it was just one of the things we stopped everywhere. It was like boom, boom, boom. Then it was our first day there, so probably definitely a little slower on the take. And then the other side was the GW side, where they had the classic GW store. The giant Terminator statue was there. Typical GW booth. They got stuff that like all those Forge Roll boxes are out there. You're like, come on.
the Titus statue.
Weta was there. Weta had Titus, Abaddon,
The loon.
the
guy.
loon boss.
The
The guy's
loon
name
boss. I forget his
Scarlag, a Scar.
Oh, that's the one where he's like pointing the.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that picture. That was
They are
awesome.
enormous and super detailed. They look amazing.
Classic Weta, looking statues. Those are really cool. And then the other side of that was all of the GW tables were there playing all the GW games. Like once again, AOS singles was like 196ish entries, 40K over 300 entries.
Without a doubt. GW
biggest thing at
ruled-
the
AOS
biggest thing at the
team.
house.
GW ruled the school. There's no doubt.
And you know who the winning list, Dan, for 40K was while we were there? Ultramarines. They changed
course
the
it
points. There was
Courage and honor.
yeah, I don't know anything about 40K, but I heard the points changed. The winning list there was an Ultramarines. Go blue.
Ultralist. Go blue.
Big blue.
And then the AOS team combats were cool. Seeing like
AOS team combats. They had streaming
Bretonians and
tables.
Wood Elves.
Oh, that
playing
was
against.
the old world.
That was actually old world.
Oh,
Yeah.
there was 2 guys at the old world table. One guy had an Egyptian headdress on. The other guy had like a Halloween Bretonian medieval. So many people were dressed at the tables while they're playing.
We got to mention. Speaking of dressed at tables, we got to mention New York guy.
Oh,
with the yellow shoulder pads.
He won it for me.
Back banner with the LED lit filament going through
his
the light.
army carrier was an orc, like giant mega boss titan, and the belly opened up, and his whole army.
And the whole army was It was spewing. He had it on like metal magnetized, like piling out onto the table.
And
that
he
was his
matched
deployment.
his yellow matched his carrier. It was all chipped. It was.
He was an orc for all intents and
awesome.
purposes. He was an orc, and I don't like orcs, but I like that guy. That guy was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Just so bought into it, and he's just playing, having a blast. Too.
Having the time of his life.
Yep, absolutely.
So what was the best thing on day 2? What was the best thing between the AMG booth, the vendor hall, and the GW stuff? What was the best thing?
You want to go first?
I'm trying to think.
All right, I'll go first then.
Go.
I'll go. It's pretty easy as a store owner. The ability just to talk to every vendor that way,
And talk to those small vendors, right? Like,
and the small vendors. The guy with the goo. What the heck? I call it the goo.
There's a company
dirty?
from England, Dirty Down.
That's
is a
Dirty
company
Down.
from the UK. This particular company, which Dan will talk to them.
I'm buying all his stuff.
They had the rust. So I have the rust effects. Dirty Down Rust, Verdigris. They have a moss. They had 2 new products, which was like gore and
like saliva.
Sinew,
Saliva.
or it could be sinew or saliva.
And he
or
was
drool,
putting it like he was
whatever, however you want to call
So
it.
you're making Tyranids look awesome. Is what you're
Oh,
saying.
dude, amazing. And he's testing, and he's like, if you put so much goop and you just go boom, boom, and it dries, and it doesn't crystallize. It gets a little stretchy.
it's
But
gummy.
it's-
It has flexibility,
Yeah,
so it's not
even
gonna
when
crack.
dry, okay.
Even when dry, which is good because rigidity would probably break it. So it was like,
But if you have large Tyranids and you put like just connected
on the fangs,
their mouth,
unbelievable.
So that really
So,
cool.
so me talking to vendors, that's my favorite thing from the second
What
time.
about you?
Oh man, I just love me. It was seeing all the personalities that I watch, and I've learned so much about games through watching their content. Like I didn't know anything about AOS Third Edition, and then I was like, well, there's not really. Yeah, there's places to go ask questions, but like I watch bat reps and they like taught me things. So I'm like, that was really cool seeing those people, how much hard work it is to really do that kind of content constantly, moving around and like, talking to people. It's a full day event. But yeah, it was the focused. It was the focused. I love wargaming. So everything there was a potential purchase. I'm like, damn, we going back and buying something? And we went back. He's like, you don't need your backpack. We're not buying anything. Boom, bought
Bastard.
something.
We went back, and that's when I bought you. That's when I got you your owlbear mat.
Oh, yeah.
And I found myself a nice dragon mat.
Yeah.
Bear mat.
So, one other thing which was great to Thursday, and that's more of a personal thing. It was opening day for baseball.
That's true.
So
Go Phils.
I got my go Yanks. Sorry, Brewers. But I got my 2 cheese dogs. I got to watch the game. I watched Devin Williams just close it out, which was the former Brewers closer. So as a bit of a sports fan, I just had to throw that in. That was just a good.
I know it
was a
wasn't
good time.
Thursday, but you guys beating up on Nestor was something. But that's a different
I think
podcast.
he was I think he was doing us a favor.
Sports and
we
art.
could do Red Seal Sports. We'll do that next.
back to Sal. Let's talk about baseball, Sal.
So Thursday, that was pretty much it. Then we went to go eat, and we ate at the barbecue joint Thursday night.
Yeah,
was
Doc's
Midwestern
Smokehouse.
barbecue. Okay, tell me
Doc's
more.
Smokehouse right across the street from the
Across the
Crimson.
street. Again, you want to talk about ideally
Now
located?
tell me about like
Across the street.
what was the line like at all these eateries that you went to?
Packed, but moving.
Yeah,
Everywhere
I
we
mean, they're
went.
big. Like the Smokehouse was a lot of tables. They
Probably
closed
like- yeah.
early.
They closed early, but you could probably fit
But
300 people.
There was so
in
many
there.
pubs, like, all the German, Polish descent in that area. Everything's like bratwurst,
Bratwurst
and
is-
cheese, and
yeah.
and there was like that one bar.
Meat and cheese.
Yeah, Copper on King.
Sign me up.
Sign me up. Copper and King was
Copper
a
on
great bar.
King was a great bar. We went to the Brat House.
That was on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speak. What was actually was
Yeah,
talk
Friday-
about-
Jump to Friday.
So
What happened Friday.
Friday was basically like hit the vendor area again, spend a little bit more money, talk
Yeah.
to a couple more vendors. That's
And-
actually when we talked to the guy selling us the boxes because he wasn't there.
Yes.
Yeah. So we talked
And-
to him on Friday.
Not realizing that in classic fashion, very much like PAX and Indianapolis, not realizing that the convention center crosses a traffic street we're passing a sign. I'm like, there's a golden demon banner. We haven't seen that. Where the hell is that?
We missed half of the hall.
So we had to
And
go
we
into
didn't
the
realize
second
it
floor and
until the
cross
second-
over the skyway, not realizing that was
because
there.
it goes across the street, and we didn't know about it. There's only like one way to get over unless you go outside.
Yeah.
So we went to the GW, and that's where we met our buddy Matt, by the way.
Who built all our gaming tables.
Yeah.
So he was there with his buddy, Tyler, I believe. He was
Oh, yeah.
So we got to see all the golden demon cases, and you just wait online and go down, and they're just like mind-boggling, all those miniatures. And then Matt and his buddy chose that there's a
Space Hulk.
there's a Space Hulk event table.
Oh my God.
We'll have pictures we could put up, hopefully, while I'm talking over this.
Unbelievable.
Oh my God, like all 3D printed hallways, and they have 5 different entry points for 5 different Terminator squads. And he even had like little klaxon battery operated votives that was the spawning point, the radar blips. And they
fiber optic lighting through the whole thing.
it was, I mean, it literally is like, we're
Smoke
on a 6x4,
machines.
maybe it was 2 6x4s. There's a giant Thunderhawk in the middle landed, and you have to get to the Thunderhawk.
And it's on an elevated platform, and you have to get in the lifts to get up, and the lifts are there too.
Yeah,
So
it sells out. The
everything's
guy says this event every year sells out in under 45 five It's gone.
there. For the past
every day.
And he's been doing it 5 years.
Yeah, every year it's gotten bigger.
How
and
long
bigger.
is it? How long? Like let's say the 5. Let's say we're the Terminator 5. Like how long are we in that? Like how long do they churn?
I don't know.
Dude,
Probably
I don't
half a
even
day.
know.
I think they only do 2 events a day.
Yeah, I mean,
And it's till you die. It's till the
You
Terminator
die or you get out.
yeah, either you exfil
awesome.
or
Yeah.
you die.
Yeah,
The really
it was amazing.
But I think that was something that was like those. There was a Mordheim guy. Guy had Mordheim tables. 3
Classic
different
Mordheim.
classic Mordheim tables.
Unmodified
Wait.
Mordheim.
Was there unmodified Warhammer Quest?
You know, I didn't
know what?
see it.
It
It might have
probably
been. We
was.
might not have seen it.
There was
Okay.
so many of those small rooms that I just didn't know existed that we were like, that would be the next time I go, I would explore all those nooks and crannies. Because there was the Mordheim game he had, oh, you want a warband? I got every warband in a case. And here's the old, and you could just, I'm doing this all weekend, demos, like play Mordheim. And I'm like,
By the
okay.
way, he mentioned Warhammer Quest. That's twice it's been mentioned now. Just letting you know. I have 2 sealed boxes of it at my house. Just remember that later.
The old one?
The old
The
one.
OG.
original
The
one?
OG. I got
OG.
2 boxes.
With the gates?
Yes, I have 2
Oh,
boxes
my
of it.
Goodness.
Yep.
so
What are you doing next Saturday?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So it's funny. One of the vendors they had there was the classic. He used to be at Gen Con. He no longer goes. All the bins, the plastic bins with loose miniatures, and you just open the bins. Tyranids, Space Marines, and he had like armies that like you could buy per miniature or like whole. He was there, and he had sealed boxes, like sealed Man of War, like $300.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Sealed
old school
Quest
stuff.
boxes.
We had the seal. Oh, there's 3 times. Oh,
He had the original Old World Castle, like $250, almost $300 for a, and the box was like in good condition.
yeah, the Warhammer
Castle.
That's crazy.
OG, like so that was cool seeing. Sometimes you were like, "Whoa, like what is on the shelf?"
The
right here?
bins, all the plastic bins with all the every army from Sigmar, Old World, 40K,
everywhere.
It would just say like Space Marines,
Yeah.
orcs,
Yeah, and just all sprues and Ziplocs, and it was just like that. So he's
and then I spent a good portion of the day doing some B-roll too. You know, I walked the aisles with my little gimbal just so we could give you some B-roll while you're watching it. You've probably seen it already or watching it already. That's what I did on the last day.
yeah. And usually whenever I go away, my wife yells at me. First thing I could be in Texas. The first thing I do is, gaming stores by me. I used to put Game Store into Google Maps. I used to get GameStop all the time. Now I put collectible card games, and it gives me, stores like RSG to kind of like feel it out. So there was nothing in downtown Milwaukee, but I want to say every compass point, there was a store 15 minutes away. Every compass point, it was almost like the Cast Star. It looked like if you would
We
have drawn
found
it.
8 or 9 stores that we were looking at.
Wow,
thinking
that's
about
awesome.
going. We wanted to go see one, so we decided on
Old Guard Games. Well, we got to mention them because it was like the interior, the pictures on Google Maps, the indoor pictures. I was like, whoa, this place looks crazy. We got to go there. So we take an Uber. It's 15 minutes up the coast. You go. We had a very older gentleman, real Milwaukeean, giving us all the highlights on the road. He's like, you want to go on the Ocean Drive? Because the Ocean Drive.
he was
the
definitely
Lake
the
Drive.
Cliff Clavin of Uber drivers in
Yes,
Wisconsin.
had all the knowledge. It was really cool.
Really
And
nice guy.
We went on this lakeside drive. It was warm that day, so there was people in shorts, like out on the beach.
Because it was like 81 degrees that day.
It was
something
warm
like that.
for Milwaukee.
Yeah.
It was an anomaly day for them. So 15-minute ride, we get there, and that store was like, I want to say it was maybe 3 storefronts of RSG glass long. Old building. They had bay windows that were, 1909, and then you went inside and it was wainscot wood from floor to ceiling, tin ceiling.
You could smell the wood. It smelled like an old library.
So yeah, they had suits of armor, and they had Napoleonic artwork all on the top. But then there was like spatterings of GW. So we found out from one of the young workers there said that the owner was a historical miniatures older gentleman, and he wanted to have the feel of that historical place to go play.
It's cool.
And they've been slowly modernizing their games, and you see, But
Don't forget the lions outside. There was 2 like giant lions by the front door.
yeah, they had all the Whiz Kids, Drit statues.
He did mention the
dragons.
armor, all the helmets above the main entrance when we
crazy.
walked in. We counted 4 tables upstairs, and I say upstairs because we didn't realize there's a downstairs. There's 2 entrances on both sides. We went down into the basement. If our buddy Big John was there, he probably would not want to go in the basement because the ceilings were probably like 6'2".
Dude, he
in
would
height.
knock himself unconscious. I had a duck.
Exposed timbers with like caution tape and cushions on the caution tape
And it
because
was
people
like-
obviously are hitting their heads on these timbers.
Brick foundation,
yeah.
cement floor. But
Cement floor. But
They made it very medieval down there.
there's
feeling.
another 12 tables in the basement, all tabletop mini. And then there was a bit of a tavern area in the back that we didn't get to go in. It was like sealed. It
Yeah,
looked
they
like a
had,
tavern on the outside, and they have another like I guess a recording studio in there. You can go in there and record your
special events and do
D&D
things.
game
D&D
or
games.
record your tabletop minis games. But the basement was like, so all in all, they probably had about 16 tape.
Ooh.
16, sorry.
Probably more
That-
like 18. It was more like
that
I
was not on
wasn't there,
purpose,
but it
I'm
was
sorry.
18.
There was about 16 tables in this place.
But it was interesting to see a store that's run, there was a 10% magic footprint and 90% was miniature games.
Yeah.
They had miniature games there I've never even seen. Historical games. Like, I was like, what game is
The
this?
magic was definitely an afterthought. Like the tables were in the walkways of probably what normally is not supposed to be there.
And it was Friday. There was some tables, 6 to 8 people playing Commander and stuff. So it was early. Maybe there is a F&M scene there later.
I would have loved
but-
to. I would have loved to speak with him to find out how he's staying there because without, I've always said, Magic keeps the lights on. Without, he definitely Magic's not keeping the lights on in his store.
Could
So
own the
what it-
building. There's so many, and right
I
across the
wonder what
street is the University of Milwaukee. So
Yeah. It was like, it was Wisconsin, Milwaukee. I don't know.
Well,
It wasn't Wisconsin.
If you're
but-
saying that there's a game store every 15 minutes in either direction, maybe one of the other ones is a big
Specialized.
magic one.
yeah,
Yeah,
And
that's
I'm the
probably
big
his-
minis one, and I'm
that-
the big this.
Yeah.
and-
That's probably his niche, and that's how he did because he did, with all those tables.
And the Midwest is just known for more board gaming. Like they're more into gaming than
Well,
it's
they have-
cold, right? You got to
they
stay
have
inside.
worse
There's
winters
like-
than we do, so it makes sense.
So the funniest part of this story is we are calling an Uber to go back, and he's on the phone with his rep for Asmo Day just at a
Danny Boy, talking to Danny Boy
Yeah.
again.
And as we're talking, this black bus pulls up, and it's got a sticker on the side that says Old Guard Games. It's like a small, and I'm like, oh, cool, they put advertising on, but these 2 young guys get out, and I'm like, maybe it's a college shuttle or something.
I'm on the phone with Dan. He's like, and Dan from Asmodee goes, "Oh, you went to that Old Guard Games?" He's like, "I'm like, yeah." He goes,
Was he on the bus?
They have a shuttle, a free shuttle that they set up over the weekend that's
Leaves from
going
the
back and
convention
forth.
center.
I said,
That
Dan,
is
I gotta
awesome.
go. I gotta go, Dan. I'll be right back. And I walk right over to the bus. I'm like, "Is this the shuttle that goes back to the Baird Center?" She's like, "Yes, it goes right back to the center straight away." I was like, "Sal, let's go."
So I think
Canceled
That
the Uber,
is
jumped on the
awesome.
bus.
The thing how smart that is, they knew that the cons there, they're not having a booth, but they had a free shuttle to go take you to the store, and if you showed your Adepticon badge, you got 10% off your purchase.
That's awesome.
I bought some
Great
weathering
idea.
powders because I hadn't seen them, and I was like, oh, you know what? Cool, support the store.
I bought my Bretonian dice there.
Old world guy all of a sudden. But but it was that was kind of cool, and I tipped that lady for the both of us, and
Oh.
she went, oh yeah, she sounded so Minnesota. Like,
Dude, totally. She was definitely
oh,
transplanted
so
Minnesota.
nice. Oh.
Minnesota? I can't do that accent.
she made me-
Minnesota.
That's it. Soda. That's the accent.
She made me
Minnesota.
laugh. She was like, nobody tipped her, and she was like, you got the New York treatment there.
Yeah.
But so that was like our Friday, and then we kind of perused the Golden Demon. We did like finally figure that
Figure
out.
that
see
out. Yeah, we checked out the rest of the halls, and then we went to. That's when we went to eat. We went to the Brat place that night.
Brat House,
We went with
Great beers.
K-Toff.
ciders,
Big effing pretzel.
oh,
It came in a pizza box.
pretzel and a
Oh my
pizza box.
goodness.
It came in a pizza
with
box.
beer cheese,
Yeah.
regular cheese, and then this like cinnamon icing that you literally couldn't
It
puncture.
was icing. It was icing.
Yeah, you couldn't puncture with it. Like it hit the top.
It was delicious, but it was icing.
Yeah, it was a lot.
And I had another hot dog.
Yeah.
Because
As one does.
as
in-
one does in
late
Milwaukee.
March or
wait,
early May.
wait, where were we? In Milwaukee,
Milwaukee.
which is Algonquin for
The good, the
Good Land.
the good land. Yeah, it was.
That's a reference. That's a Wayne's World reference. You got to watch it.
Not realizing
Alice
Wayne World
Cooper.
was so central there.
Yeah. And then we mentioned Alice Cooper, and sure enough, he's going to be at the Band Center. He
He's
came
playing
up. He came up
on the front screen.
I don't like
we were
Alice
laughing.
Cooper. What's Wayne's World? What's going on
It
here?
was so funny.
And then the whole Goodland thing was we didn't realize that it is a thing. I guess it's like I Love New York for New York City with the tourist
Yep.
shirts. They had the good. You bought a Goodland.
I got my
magnet?
Schlitz hat and I got a magnet that
magnet.
said, always get a magnet from a city you go to. It goes on the fridge in the
and that was Friday. And then Saturday was pretty much an old man Saturday for sure.
Get up late.
We totally skipped breakfast.
Last hurrah in the vendor hall.
Yeah, we did one more quick run through.
Our buddy Greg had made the cut in Armada.
So we went to go check on him.
And
See how
was
we finished.
in the final throes of playing his games there. I don't really know the full outcome.
I don't know how we
finish.
actually finished because we had left and he was still playing.
Yeah, we tried to say our goodbyes as we could, and
That's what you guys left on Saturday, right? Saturday
on
was last
Saturday
day,
we caught an Uber at 4:00.
Yeah.
Now, is it the same thing, like 2 flights out of Milwaukee to Newark?
I don't know going home, but
Half the plane was empty.
yeah,
Really?
it wasn't a full flight. I'm used to we go to Florida a lot. To go to
Security. We got the
the
security. It was Sal and I.
There was not a single, and I went TSA pre and clear, and Dan went regular clear, and it wasn't. We were the only people.
Only 2 people.
It was
And it was 7 people checking
That's
us
so
out.
that's so strange.
It
I
was
can't
so
even
weird.
wrap my head around that.
It almost
I
was
can't
wrong.
either.
Like I was
It
like,
felt wrong.
but
It did.
yeah, that was it.
And then I had some artisanal pizza in the freaking place. It was amazing. It
I
was
bought my wife a ton of Green Bay stuff because it was Wisconsin, so it was
yeah,
perfect.
they had stuff like that. And
But that was really it. I
they
mean,
even boarded the plane early. They're like, oh, we want to try to get out of here early today.
yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
taxi,
I'm like, yeah.
hit the pull out of the gate,
We're the only plane on the tarmac.
full throttle tarmac takeoff. That's
Oh,
that's a
God.
3-hour event.
Taxiing at Newark is a half an hour at least.
No, we just got
If
on.
not
There was
more.
nobody on the tarmac but us.
But that was our
It's so weird.
Adepticon.
So this is the first time you guys went. You've talked about it for a long time because you've always wanted to do mini stuff. Are you going back next year? Am I taking off of work? What are we doing? Is this something we're doing every year, or is this?
Can I say?
Was this a one and done?
You can start. I have my take. I have my take.
Absolutely.
Whoa.
Wow.
Where's that?
Absolutely,
Yo, Johnny
Because-
Tech Brain. Yo, beep.
Beep, beep, Johnny, got to beep that out.
You get one. You get one, and you're still
yeah,
PG-13, so you're fine.
Bleeping lootly. All right, I
Wow,
bleep
okay.
myself out. It's mini focused. It's nice. It's easy. You know what you're doing. You're not distracted. You could go there. There was probably 5 or 6 events that we would have loved to sign up for. We're going to try to get into that Space Hulk. I don't know if it's going to happen because the guy made it sound like it's really hard.
Now I know what to expect.
Yeah.
Definitely helped.
Definitely know what to expect and what to bring. And who knows, maybe I'll have an old world army ready for something.
Oh, boy.
But it just the town was great. The room was affordable. The food was great. I mean, that's the other thing. When we go to these cons, we like the after the con
finer
stuff,
things.
the finer things, like where we're gonna eat, where we're gonna hang out, how are the hotels, how are the walks. Everything was short distance. If that all stays the same, without a doubt, I would definitely go again. And then just to meet the creators. I mean, if from a store point of view too, it's just too useful to me not to go. And then the fanboy part of me just made it that much easier. So it's a yes and a yes.
For me, it's the increasingly harder getting Gen Con hotels. Every year we try and get Gen Con. And when my Gen Con slot came up, I was forget the airport. I was past the airport. So now I'm renting a car. I'm parking downtown, and it's like
More expensive flight, more expensive hotels, even within the block.
The flight's probably comparable depending on, but still, yeah, the hotels are way more expensive. So I did find out that they have a 5-year deal. Adepticon has a 5-year deal with the Baird Center, so this is the first year. Now, in 5 years, I don't know what the price is going to be because it grew from 6 to 8 this year, 1,000, I think, with 1,200 different
People,
events.
you mean 8,000 people?
Yeah, from 6 to 8.
Just under 10,000, he said. So.
So it's growing every year, and the Baird Center can totally deal with that. But once again, does the economics around it also increase? Who knows? But next year, it's probably still going to be affordable.
And there's a possibility that I could get Sal to go to a baseball game with me because he wants to do the bucket list thing. He wants to go to Milwaukee, so I might be able to get him to bypass his usual.
Only football. I'm sorry.
So if the Brewers are in town for their home opener,
He said he would probably go.
Well, really
So-
cool. When the night I want to say was Friday, the Milwaukee Bucks ironically were playing
When
the
the
Knicks.
Knicks. Go
So
New
two New
York,
York
go
teams
New
were playing the
York, go.
Brewers at the Milwaukee teams, and their center's 5-10 blocks away. So we were worried about. We better go get to dinner because we got to get before the Milwaukee Bucks games because these places are going to be mobbed. And we were at the Brat House, and the Brat House went from kind of to mobs.
Yeah,
Like,
you
so,
know,
like,
if you go to when you're eating and you don't pay attention, and then you turn around and you're like, where the
All these
did
people,
Yeah.
people come from? That's what happened to us. Yeah.
So that was, you got to be aware of events, but like there are events there. So
And K Tough almost got attacked, so we almost had to get our Italian on. And
oh my god,
throw someone a beating, mess with my boy Tough.
he was fine.
Yeah, he was fine.
But yeah,
That's his fault. He's 5'2". That's why.
yeah, Todd's the best.
Toph's a wee man.
But the yeah, definitely for me, I want to go back and definitely do more.
So we'll just say that Chris, you're coming with us.
Well, we
next
need
year.
you. We need
We'll-
you there
we'll
to keep
try.
us
We'll see.
awake, dude. Like that's the thing. Like I wanted to play games, and then we're in the room and just like,
Yeah, watching. That's what happens when we stay up watching Queso all night too.
yo, W chat.
W chat, lock in.
Lock
We
in.
should have said that. We should have said it in honor of Queso.
Oh my God.
Lock in chat.
You don't even want to know about queso. We'll get
Yeah,
there.
we'll talk about that later. That'd be a whole nother
Shout out
episode.
Charlotte.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Other than that, I think that's it.
yeah, it was definitely worth it.
Great
for us.
time. Go again. Probably an enhance the visit. Maybe try to sign up for some more events. Maybe who knows? Maybe we'll even have some parlay with some other content creators. Maybe we go next time. Maybe we'll
don't
be
know.
slightly in their purview when we get over there, just to have a.
It'd be cool
a
to
chat.
ask someone some
Maybe
more
they'll even
questions
do
on camera and be
maybe
like,
they'll
hey,
even do a content creator kind of meetup at that place.
Yeah.
That would be nice if
Yeah.
they. I mean, if they're into that.
just getting someone on questions, asking their opinion on X, Y, and B is that's not the
X, Y, and B. That's a new
Yeah,
one.
that's a new
Yeah.
one. I was gonna let it go, but
Yeah,
X, Y, and
like,
B.
Yeah,
X, Y, and B.
And B, go right back.
know
Bring
why?
it back.
Boy.
But,
Well, on that note,
on that note,
Yeah.
all right, we'll wrap this episode up. So thanks as always for joining us. I hope you enjoyed our little review of Adepticon 2025 here at Red
First
Seal
one.
Gaming Presents. Our first of definitely at least two, and we'll take it from there year by year. Oh, that's right. Get the swag out. So
Schwaggins.
as always, thanks for joining us. And don't forget, just like I told Rob, that's how we stayed young. Never stop gaming.
Keeps you young.